Okay, so while I don't live in France and I live here in the United States, there is a lot of commonality with the sentiment that's happening with the greater portion of the French public. And I'm listening to all these people who get on these like Al Jazeera, RT, MSNBC, BBC, you name it. All these people are talking what I consider to be bullshit talk because I don't think they've actually thought in detail or taken any contextual, significantly contextual circumstances. Because what I'm seeing right now is very reminiscent and has too many similarities to what happened during the French Revolution, where I forget it was I think it was Louis, King Louis or something like that. I think I'm not. Right now I can't say for sure because I'm not a. I haven't actually taken any courses, but what I do remember and understand with clarity is that much of what's happening in France today, in the present, and it's been ongoing for like 3 weeks now, is that the buildup. You know, they started out as genuinely peaceful protests, basically saying, "Hey, listen to us. Stop putting all of stop putting all of the economic and financial and all the other burdens on us, and start being respectable and responsible, and look out for our interests because we are the country." And that is what the Yellow Vest whole protest is about. But typically, as with all these sort of things happens, is that the government takes a heavy hand. They start sending out the quote unquote police, and they start bashing on the protesters. Now, from the videos and other stuff that I've looked at, I haven't looked at it with the overly thought out, the illegitimate thinking and commentary that is done by the quote unquote guests that are brought on, and I'm seeing a logical trend that's happening because we have commentators saying, "Oh, they're not focused. They don't know. There's no specific leadership. There's this, there's that. It's the European Union, which is causing all the issues and so on and so forth. And it's the right wingers and it's this and it's that. But you don't need to be a psychologist. You don't need to be an anthropologist. You don't need to be. You don't need to be a human behavioral scientist to understand that the root of all, and even with these supposed people, talking on all these news outlets and so on, quote unquote news outlets, they've basically pointed out the one true factor, which is commonly held with the 70%, and probably will grow because it has been exponentially growing in France with the number of people coming out, and it's completely organic, and it's because there's a common held thing with common with all of them is that people are feeling the burden and impacts, and that's the economic is their economic viability, which translates directly to them being able to live without overburdened stress and worries. And that's it. There doesn't need to be a leader when there's a common consensus that, hey, we're taking it on the chin and we're fed up. That's it. We're taking it on the chin. We're fed up. We want to see change. We want to see responsibility. We want to see accountability. That's it. There is no mystery to it. That is exactly what's happening. So all this confusion, all this sowing of confusion, and I'm like, I don't know why it's popping up. It's because of fuel. It's not just because of fuel prices. That was just the catalyst of letting that released the frustration and anger. That's what it was. You don't have to be a specialist, a world-renowned specialist, to figure that out. It's a no-brainer. It's not the European Union and their actions, because the actions are done by the domestic criminal terrorists, economic terrorists, and that is the government, who are the henchmen, and it is the wealthy who have all the financial resources and monetary resources who are causing issues. It's not the EU, it's not Britain, it's not Africa, it's not China, it's not Russia. It's the domestic. And those and France holds the same issue as the U.S. With Russia and China and everybody else. You have the wealthy who buy into or get infuse themselves into the domestic arena, who are contributing with the actual domestic financial terrorists to cause all the unrest and all the burden and all the stress and the worries. That's what it is. Doesn't matter where you live, and the danger is that applies to all nations. And when I say all nations, I mean literally every human nation on the planet. Is that the commonality of what's happening in France is being felt globally by the human population, regardless of race or regardless of all the other bullshit that's constantly harped about. When it has no contextual or logical ramifications, is that the criminal elites, the criminal terrorists who own the resources, who own the lands, who own the money, who own the power, who own everything, out of their criminal behavior and greed, is what is brought about, is bringing about everything. So when it blows up, and it's already starting to show that it's going to blow up, as the escalation has in France has gone up and up and up, I guarantee you, Macron and all those doing the bidding of the criminals, and thereby making themselves criminals, they will start telling the police and the military to start taking more aggressive actions. And when that happens, what will end up happening? First, the police might start doing some of it, and the military might start doing some of it. But these guys will, the criminals in charge will call for even harsher, more brutal. And when the police and military personnel start seeing their own families and their friends start paying with their lives or being sent to jail and so on and so forth, guess what? That's going to quickly turn around, and you're going to have the police and military people start backing away and joining with the rest of the French public, and you'll have what happened back during the fall of the Revolutionary Fall, where the nobles, and I believe, as I said, I believe it was Louis or something like that. I could be wrong with that, but yeah, I'm not really sure what the year was, but it was back in history, and you had entire cities and towns burnt, and you had nobles and the wealthy pulled out and basically slaughtered. But I don't feel sorry for the slaughter of these criminals. But that's exactly what happened. But it won't be just them, because the media, the establishment media, will also get that same treatment. And of course, there will be people that have absolutely nothing to do with with the stress and worry, and they'll pay for it. And there'll be more, and things go out of control, completely out of control. But this will be basically a demonstration of what will take place if the people that hold the power, who control everything, don't wise up and get out of their insane criminal actions and start, even if they don't actually believe it, even if they don't actually want it, and start becoming more moderate and more sane. And of course, they'll of course be able to survive for a few more generations, and or more, before this same thing rises again. This has happened repeatedly throughout history, throughout human history, repeatedly. Rome is a prime example. The ruling elites started putting too much burden on the public they need for their soldiers and their police, for them to be able to keep them to pile up their money and so on and so forth. That's exactly what it is. You have these histories about the Roman Empire. About how they were chipping away at their currency and putting less weight. That's not what causes. No, every single time, that has nothing to do with currency manipulation. All that other crap has nothing to do with why people rise up. It's because the wealthy, the criminals, always go insane. Always start wanting more. Whether it's insane or not, they want more. They want more. They want more. And you put too much pressure, just like a tea kettle. Once it boils, it's gonna whistle. You're gonna create steam, and that is what happens. When you create steam in the people that you need, they're gonna get angry. They're gonna get frustrated. They're gonna get stressed, and when you inevitably take violent action, in which all criminals in government and in business always go to, the wealthy always go to, because you think hey, well, let's set the example. Let's kill a quarter. Let's just unleash him. Well, guess what? There's only so much you can accomplish with that, because ultimately you're telling the people the guy that you use to go kill their friends and family. And when that happens, guess what? They're not going to side with you. They're going to side with their friends and family. It's always that. It's basic human nature. They'll follow orders to a point, but when it starts affecting them personally, they're going to turn on you. And when they turn on you, they're going to be the most brutal, the most violent, the most out of control. And down you go. And the thing is it's not like the old times. People, the general public is more informed. More people understand, like me, understand what the historical context is. And there will be those who will pop up and say, "Look, the situation hasn't been solved," and the number of people that understand about it, they're gonna say, "Well, look, we still have the criminals out there, the ones that have generationally after generationally have extorted, stole, robbed, and everything to the resources and the money and everything else. Those are going to be pointed out." And with the technology, it gets even easier. And they're gonna point you out. They're gonna here in the United States, they're gonna point out the Koch brothers. They're gonna point out the Mercers. They're gonna point out the DeVosses. They're gonna point out the Bushes, the Clintons. They're gonna point out Jamie Dimon. They're gonna point out all. And guess what? At that point, the age isn't going to matter. It could be a baby, but it's got the name of the Clinton or Koch or Mercer, if it's, or even if it's remotely connected. So, as a warning to you, all of you insane people, get control of yourself. Step back to sanity. Step back to reality. Stop assuming you're better because you have more. Stop assuming that your cleverness, because of people's laziness to actually be informed and being able to willfully ignore things, that it will continue. It won't. It never lasts. There will come to a point where the water will boil and steam will stop pouring out. You don't have the numbers. You may have control you may have control and access to devastating weapons, but guess what? When you won't be able to get people, with the exception of certain number of sociopaths and psychopaths. They're not enough. So, as I was saying, there is no mystery with what's happening in France. And you can throw all this other garbage, but it comes down to you push the button way too. You push people's buttons way too much. Now it's ready to explode, and it will explode. It will come back to bite you in the ass, but it won't be a gentle bite. And that's what happens every time throughout all of history. It's always consistent. It's always 100%. There is no ifs, ands, buts about it.